beginning, really, more than anything else.
Yeah, should we go with questions first then? Would you like that first?
I think all the way through, yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So, I've got a question. I believe Owen. Owen, you online?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Do you want to ask James your question?
Okay. What advice would you give a young chef entering their first job?
What advice would I give? What are you in now? You in, Owen?
Level 1.
Level 1. My advice really is get some work experience out there while you're still at college. So, work experience is quite vital. It's so important in terms of this industry. Now you've got the opportunity more than ever, really. Well, when we get out of this nightmare that we're going through, but you've got the opportunity to be able to get access to these places. And that requires either on an evening or a weekend, sometimes giving up your own free time. And working in there, when I started, I literally started with nothing. I walked in there in a kitchen with a bag of knives and said, can I work for free? And then what you find is when a chef leaves or there's a position available, you're then next in line, if that makes sense. I'm not saying work there for years and years and years, but what I'm saying is work experience is quite vital. So my advice to you would be to take this opportunity to write to a few places. They may be difficult to respond at the moment, but certainly, use this opportunity now while we're in lockdown to sort of write to a few places and say, when you do open up, can I come along and have an evening at work and see whether you like it? Fundamentally, see whether you want to do that. There's so many avenues in hospitality. Let's face it, Owen, and you can decide what avenue you want to go in from there.
Thank you.
Brilliant. We've got another question here as well from Harrison. Harrison, you're online?
Yes, chef, I am.
Ask James your question.
I have a question for you, James. What's the best item you've grown in your allotment, and do you attend your allotment yourself?
Well, I do at the moment because last year I did it all. Well, I did it myself, and I've got a chef that works directly alongside me. So he's kind of looks after the restaurant business, and he always says that he's about 2 days ahead of me. And wherever I am in the world, he's out there getting ready for when I turn up, and then just as we're finishing off, he flies off to the next place. So he's a guy called Adam, and he used to be the sous chef of the Waterside Inn in Bray. And he was there for 5 years. And before that, with Rogan and Co. and that kind of stuff. And so he looks after the restaurant. So last year, we spent a lot of that first lockdown, that lockdown from February till June, actually working in the garden. And I'm a great believer in, and been an ex-farmer and a food producer who were pig farmers by trade, that to fully understand food, you've got to understand how bloody difficult it is to produce. So having your own allotment, you'll understand that. You wake up one morning and all your carrots are gone, or you wake up one morning and all the cabbage is gone. But yeah, certainly everything that I grow in the bottom of the garden is grown by myself. Yeah, I do. I'll be honest with you. I have a gardener in once every 2 weeks, but nothing for the last. He hasn't been here since February last year. So, but everything at the bottom of the garden is produced and grown by myself, and we use it for the Saturday show.
Fantastic. That's great. That's really good.
The best stuff I grow there really is probably tomatoes, I think, more than anything else. That in the greenhouse, they're amazing. So you get some really good tomatoes, because we're not far from the coast here. I'm sort of North Winchester, so you get that amazing south-facing sun, and even today it's actually really nice weather.
Fantastic. That's really good. Thank you very much for that, James. We've got another question from Jacob. Jacob, you online?
Hi, James.
You see some.
Is there such thing as too much butter? And is your favourite cooking method a barbecue, as we normally see you using it?
Jacob, my favourite ingredients. Yeah, I mean, there's people who follow trends and fashions in this world, and there's people who don't give a shit, and I don't give a shit.
Okay.
I think there's too many people that follow trends. I have a pet hate about January, and that's January and all this utter rubbish. I think it's all a balanced diet that everybody should have, and we're the only country in the world that kind of goes through this ridiculous thing that we eat what we want for 11 months and then moan about it in January, and then all of a sudden February comes along and then everybody's back to normal again. It's bloody ridiculous. So just enjoy your food fundamentally. And I'm a farmer's lad. Like I said, I love my butter, I love cream, that kind of stuff. I'm not into your margarine and that kind of stuff, but everything's a balance, isn't it, really? I think during this, certainly when we reopened in July, when I lost stone of weight since July, and that's basically by reopening a restaurant. So if you want to lose weight in this game, open a restaurant in the middle of a pandemic. It's enough to freak you out.
Brilliant. Oh, that's fantastic for that. We've got another question from Jade. Jade, you're online?
I am here, chef.
Ask your question for James.
I just wanted to ask, because we asked loads of you water the same thing, which came to our college. Do you ever see a reunion for Ready Steady Cook? And can you remember your worst Ready Steady Cook bag?
Funny enough, I just spoke to Tony Tobin this morning, one of the old chefs from Ready Steady Cook. We're actually filming the Saturday show next week here at the house, and Tony Tobin's here, and Brian Turner's actually coming along with two of the old clan that were there. But it's probably 16 years since I left Ready Steady Cook, something like that. But there has been a few reunions. We did one about 3 years ago. We went up to Scotland with Nick Nairn, and all stayed at Nick Nairn's place in Scotland. He's got an amazing place by the loch, and that was good fun. Drank too much. That was good. The worst bag I ever had, I think it might have been a liver offer was always quite difficult, and whenever you got things like liver or kidney, it was always quite difficult because the audience didn't really like it. If the audience didn't like it, then you've had it. Yeah. But I think the hardest bag I ever got was they tipped out the bag and it was a tea towel, and that was it. And I actually utilised what was in the larder, and I remember beating Brian Turner on that one. I think I did a panna cotta or something like that. There's plenty of stuff in the larder. You can easily do stuff anyway. You can make cakes. You can do Swiss roll. But it was 20 minutes, and that was probably the most difficult bag I ever got. Yeah.
Brilliant. I remember Leslie Waters was saying her fish and chips was in a bag before, and that was her worst bag.
Yeah,
fish and chips.
Yeah, leftover fish and chips. Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was a long time ago that though. Yeah, a long time ago.
I've got a question. Nathaniel, are you online?
Yeah, I am, chef.
Do you want to ask James your question?
What is the funniest moment with a guest chef on your TV shows? And is there one person you would like to cook with again, and why?
Funniest moment. There's been many. I think that the moment that stands out more than anything else. I'm severely dyslexic. I've never read a book in my life, and not proud of it. But I just reading and writing is quite difficult for me. So hence I have a really good PA that does it all. When I write a book, I dictate it, and then I've got several people who are far more intelligent than I am to then check and spell check it. But certainly with that, I think probably the toughest was when I was doing the old Saturday Kitchen that I used to do live, and one of the links on the autocue, because you've got this autocue and it spins round, and there's a lady there with a dial, and the faster you read it, the quicker she turns the dial. And it was coming out of the ad break. It was, "What a delicious looking dish, Rick. Now I'm going to do spotted dick and custard." Google it. You'll see what I said live on TV. And it went right across the country, right across the world, because Rick Stein texted me about 10 minutes while I was still on air, 10 minutes afterwards, complimenting me on the compliment that I gave him. But you'll see it. It's quite amusing. Guest-wise, I suppose, chefs-wise, I've been quite privileged, really, to travel all over the place. I think France was very special. I think working with Ducasse and certainly down in with Georges Blanc down there, I think that was pretty special. Working with him and working alongside him, and Thomas Keller in America and Daniel Boulud. These people have become your friends over the years. It's quite it's a big industry, this, but quite a small industry, and in terms of that sort of that communication with that clan. But certainly there's a great camaraderie, and everybody sort of looks out for each other and looks after each other.
Brilliant. That's amazing. I remember watching what you mentioned on TV when with that Rick Stein comment.
Yeah.
I've seen that a while ago. Yeah, brilliant. Oh, right. Nichelle, are you online?
Yes, chef.
Do you want to ask James your question?
Yeah.
I like all the chef that keep calling you. Look at that.
Yeah, it's good.
What was your best place you visited in Islands to Highlands, and what was your favorite dish in Islands to Highlands, and why?
Favorite place I visited in Islands to Highlands. One of my great friends is Raymond Blanc, and it wasn't really an island to Highland, but we missed him on the first British adventure. So I wanted to go back. I just spoke to him yesterday. Actually, I wanted to go back and see him because in this industry you go through, I suppose, decades of chefs that you guys look up to. I'm sure you guys look up to different people that I look up to. I'm classed as the old guard now, but I look up to my great friends with Michel Roux Senior, who we sadly lost. We lost his brother recently as well. Andrew Fairley, we lost him a couple of years ago. Gary Rhodes, those sort of guys. But I think going to Le Manoir de Quatre Saisons and spending time with a great friend, Raymond, I think any of you guys out there listening to this, my advice to you is aim to be like him, because he to me is the ultimate restaurateur, the ultimate hotelier, the ultimate restaurateur. Still has the same passion that he's had all of his life. I've known him 35 years. Still has the same passion now than he ever did before, probably more so now than he ever had before. But yeah, certainly Raymond Blanc that was probably my highlight, I think. And particularly telling him his food was shit and seeing his reaction, that was quite funny. Of course it's not, but that was quite funny. But it's a great friend and a good guy, and if any of you guys get the opportunity to go work there, grab it, take it, and run with it, because it is just phenomenal. It's amazing.
It's brilliant. That's really good. We've got a question from a level 3 student, Jay. Jay, you online?
Yes, I am, chef.
Hi there, Jay. Do you want to ask James your question?
Yeah. So we loved seeing you in Islands to Highlands when you visited Jersey. You met the man from Jersey Royal Potatoes. You also met him too, and he seems to know quite a bit about potatoes.
He knows a fair bit.
Yeah. Is there one place you would love to cook again?
The interesting thing with that is the question for before was the barbecue thing. The reason why we use those barbecues is the fact that most of the stuff that we do, in fact, all the stuff that we do on location, is all one take. So the very, very first time you see it is the first time I cook it. I've done no rehearsal. We've never practiced it before. We make it up as we go along, and it seems to work. And we've learned over the years those barbecues, those Japanese style barbecues, are the best ways to do it, because when it's windy up the side of a hill because the director wants nice shots of Jersey Royal potatoes behind you, usually it's blowing a bloody hoolie, and anything with a gas stove or an open barbecue, you lose all the heat. So that's why we use those barbecues. So I think I remember doing that dish. I remember doing a like a risotto, but really diced potatoes, and getting the idea from Sat Baines, and getting the idea from him. Really, he does this amazing beetroot risotto and scalera risotto with really finely diced veg. I remember nicking that idea off him and using a bit of squid ink and turning it into a risotto using the Jersey Royal. So if there was any place I would like to cook again on that travel, would be Scotland. I'm a huge lover of Scotland. I think it's got the ultimate larder, the greatest larder in the world, in my opinion. The best fruit in the world, certainly the best soft fruit, raspberries, strawberries. Certainly some of the best seafood in the world, without shadow of doubt, the best seafood in the world. So I think going up to Scotland and seeing there, if I could go back, would be to go to places like Shetland and Orkney and stuff like that, to get lobster and to get langoustines as fresh as that and as big as that. We were seeing langoustines that were half a meter, in size, 50 centimeters for a Longstein. Bigger than lobster. Amazing things, and they were just pulling them out of the water like peas. It was unbelievable. So to go back to Scotland and see that, it was. I was very privileged to go up there and see it, and I'd love to do it again.
Fantastic.
How's life in level 3 anyway? How's life with you in level 3?
Oh, I love it. It's a lot more technical. It's a lot more advanced. It's just a shame that due to COVID that we can't really do the advanced practical work.
Yeah.
But of course, once this is all sorted and we can go back to college, going to get onto it and really enjoy it.
Where are you going to go afterwards?
Well, I have a job at the Aviator Hotel. It's a hotel in my hometown. And I work there on the weekends, and then depending on if they need me, I'll work during the weekdays. And I'm hoping that after college, I'll work full time there.
Good. Well, good luck with everything.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff.
Jay, who you're just speaking to then, was very lucky last year work experience. He went and worked at the Ritz for 2 weeks.
Oh, with John. Yeah, John.
With John, and he spent 2 weeks in the kitchens there, didn't you, Jay?
Yeah, that's pretty special. As restaurants and hotels go, that's right up there with the best. It's amazing spot.
Yeah, it was a truly amazing experience.
Yeah, nobody can afford truffles like John Williams, though. So, I don't think everybody hotels like that, boss. But it's not, all right?
Fantastic. We've got another question from Cameron. Is it one of our level 1 students? Cameron, you online?
Yes, I am, Chef. Hi, James. My question for you is, have you got a favourite cookbook, but it's not yours, and why?
I'm actually sat in my boys' room at the moment, and I do get quite a lot of cookbooks at the moment. I've got this one recently. Sorry, this one. Moving stuff. This one got sent to me. This is quite cool. Just a small bloody book. Look. This one's Glyn Pennell's. It's just photographs of himself mainly. This one I quite. What have we got here? Tom sent me this one. You probably got that one.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
That one. The one I like is this one. What is it? It's actually. I think I've actually moved it upstairs. It's Daniel Clifford. It's his book. I think I've moved it upstairs. But yeah, they keep sending. I've got about 3,500 cookbooks upstairs in the office. So quite a lot. But I think there's certain ones. Sat Baines is pretty impressive. I think out of all of them, if I could look at all of them, there's a book called The Great British Chefs, and it's my era when I was training, when I was your age, and it was written by a guy called Kit Chapman, and Kit Chapman used to run the Castle at Taunton, and back then it was quite a famous place where Gary Rhodes was the head chef, and it's full of people, Joyce Merlino, it's full of Sean Hill when he was at Clifton, down in Devon. It's full of the sort of brigade chefs, and because memory training when I was a young kid, back when in the days at Harvey's with Marco and all those sort of that era, that's when I was training in London as a young kid. So the Great British Chefs, if you look out for it, it's there. Or one of the two Roux brothers cookbooks, the patisserie book as well. I think that one is pretty special as well. So those two are probably my favourite. You've got to Google it now. I'm trying to find it. It's probably worth 50p now. Those Great British Chefs book, but it is fantastic. It's just it's a cream cover with a picture down in the centre. Kit Chapman did the forward to it. Look at it. It's got the likes of Brian Turner in there. It's got the McCoy brothers, all the guys that I trained with when I was a young kid. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good book.
That's brilliant. That's fantastic. I've got a question as well for you, James, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So we're inspired by you as a chef, and we've got your cookbook at college here, and it's a fantastic read. Is there anyone else that you're inspired by? So you've mentioned some names here, but who used to inspire you and still does?
I think, well, Michel Roux Senior was a great friend of mine, and he was a great inspiration in terms of my life, in terms of what I did, what I stood for, how I treated people, everything about it. If you look at that, Raymond Blanc, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
The younger generation inspire me. You know, the kids that are younger than me. I'm great friends with Paul Ainsworth. You know, Paul's a fantastic kid. But he's a, you know, I've seen him over the last 10 years grow a business that has been hugely successful, and that's because he's a great leader. He's a great leader of people. So I think, you know, that those sort of guys really as well. There's so many, isn't there? Really,
there is. Yeah,
I think for me, really, the younger generation, really, the Paul Ainsworth, that kind of stuff, and what Simon Rogan's doing, and then you go above that, as in age bracket. Certainly, Raymond Blanc, really, for me. I think if you can look at that as a mentor, and what the Roux Brothers stand for, and that's why I'm privileged to be involved in the Roux Scholarship and be a judge at the Roux Scholarship. I think that you can pass on that knowledge as you get older, pass it on in a way that the younger generation becomes hugely successful, and that's what I sort of. I'm in that middle, aren't I? So, like I was saying to you, you've got my age bracket, and then you've got the younger generation, the older generation. I feel like I'm too young to play golf and too old to be stood by the hot stove. You know, it's kind of.
I quite like it. You mentioned Paul Ainsworth. I'm very lucky. I've been to his restaurant down in Padstow. And seeing you two on TV, it's like you two are like best friends, and you're not even filming TV. You're just having a good day.
Yeah, he's up on Tuesday. He's coming up on Tuesday next week. And I think that's the key to television anyway. What we tried to do with the Saturday show is keep it as mates, really, and keep it as friends. And I think that's where it was when I first started it 5 years ago. I think it's morphed and it's growing, which is great. But fundamentally, these people are my mates. They come here, we chill out in this boys' room, we have some beers, and they've all been in this room for many a late night in here. And that's the whole point about the show. It's quite chilled out. And we ended up kicking Boyzone out of here about a few months ago. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. But it's that kind of camaraderie, and I think that's where it kind of works. And because I'm not an actor, the chefs are not actors, and you know, that friendship hopefully comes across on screen. You know.
Yeah, it definitely does. 100%. Fantastic. That's really amazing to hear. Thank you very much for that, James. I think that's all our questions we've got sent to us, gone through. But I'll just want to say a big thank you to you, really, to give up your time for our students.
It's a pleasure. You know, it's a pleasure. It's a difficult time, isn't it? It's a tough time.
It is.
It's not an easy time. I mean, we did have at one particular time in February last year, we had 17 restaurants. And within 3 weeks, we're doing 1 million meals a month at one point across the airports and train stations and everything, and that dropped to less than 1,000 in a matter of days.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is keep motivated. I've got a Zoom call with my team in Manchester and and at Chewton Glen to try, and we do that every week to try and, you know, just chat to each other, really, because, you know, it's not just the industry suffering, it's the mental health side of it and everything else. I think, you know, it's great to talk to people, and that's, doesn't matter who you are, what you are, and where you're from, and where you are at college, university, wherever you are. Been a restaurateur, and we're all in this business, and whether you're front of house or back of house, your whole life is devoted to hospitality, to serving people, to making people enjoy themselves. And when you can't do that, and you can't do it because of restrictions that are beyond your control, it's frustrating, it's demoralizing, it's everything. And what we found, really, in terms of when we fire up, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So anybody here listening to this, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's how long you can hold on. As we all know, the hospitality industry is quite fragile. But and there are a lot. Let's face it, there are a lot of people losing jobs, and a lot of restaurants going bust. A lot of places suffering. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel if you can hold on long enough. Certainly, what we found when we reopened in, was it July? I've never seen business like that ever. Not as in amount of people, as in the enthusiasm from people. Because let's face it, they're all peeved off with cooking at home 7 days a week, They're just desperate to get out and enjoy something. And I think that's my job, your job, everybody listening to this, the younger generation coming through. There is light there, and that light is a positive light. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be doom and gloom, because when it does fire up, us in hospitality, we can fire up within 24 hours. You know, it's a business that doesn't take 6, 8, 10 months to refire up. It's instant. And that's because of all the people that are in this industry that are passionate about what they do. Front of house, back of house, everywhere, everybody's the same. I don't have any names on my chef's jackets on my kitchen, because I don't agree with it. Everybody's the team. Everybody's together. Everybody's, you know, if we go down like a sack of spanners, we all go down like a sack of spanners. But everybody's in there together. But I think it's certainly this, what's happened has brought to light other things related to this job that, you know, it's on the news today. Sadly, a guy that I used to have a drink with in Essex passed away. It's brought that to the fore, and I think for all you guys out there, yes, it is frustrating. Yes, it is. It's not easy, but it's not going to be easy. It's not easy for anybody. Everybody that's in this industry, we're just doing everything. You're probably seeing it on social media. Chefs diversifying. I spoke to Sat this morning, and he's selling samosas out of a bloody van. You know, anything to keep going, to keep surviving, because when we do get through all this, watch what will happen. You know, I think potentially we could have a record year when we open up. The same, we open up in probably April, May. But I think if you take the 12 months from May to May next year, I think it could be the biggest on record for the hospitality industry. I really do. And that's how positive I am. Whether I'm proved right or wrong, I don't know. But that's what I'm hoping for, because, you know, it can't go on forever. It won't go on forever. But if we just get allowed to do bits and pieces, and it is uber safe, is this running a restaurant business in this scenario that we have. You know, everything's checked and double checked, as we know. I remember spending, and it was frustrating, because I remember spending weeks and weeks and weeks doing all the planning when we opened up in July, and we opened our first night. I think it was a Saturday night. We were full, and we were fully booked for 2.5 months from that Saturday night. And I remember doing everything, and we were working so hard, and we had to finish at 10 o'clock and shut the door at 10 o'clock and kick everybody out and all that sort of stuff, which we did. And everybody just left. It got to about 9:45, and everybody just got up and left. We didn't have to turf them out. We didn't have to do any of that. And I remember driving from the restaurant back home, and I remember driving through Lymington and seeing pubs turn out of kids, students, whatever. And I just remember being so pissed off, because we worked so hard that this could be allowed to happen, you know, if that makes sense, that we were all put under the same umbrella. I think everybody has a responsibility, a duty of care, everything, and it was so frustrating. But having said that, we were open. We were cooking and we were trading, and chefs had a smile on their face, and the waiters were loving it, and that's the main thing. So, you know, it isn't easy. I think the worst is yet to come. To be honest with you, I think financially the worst is yet to come, without a shadow of a doubt, because somebody's got to pay this back, all this nightmare. But certainly, I think, you know, to me, this industry is the best industry in the world. It's when I started as a young kid, and you want me to talk about me as a young nipper. I started this game when I was 8 years old. We were farmers. We were pig farmers by trade. Didn't own the farm. My family were tenant farmers. We had nothing. We had no money. But I had my love of food came from my family, my parents, my grandparents, who would take a carcass of pork and then break it down. We could sell the legs, we could sell the ham, sell the loins, sell the belly, but we couldn't sell the heart, the lungs, the kidney, the tripe, that kind of stuff. And that's what we did. So from the age of, I can't have been any more than 4 or 5 years old, I remember stood there stirring the pot of brawn, pig's head, slowly cooking and ripping it all up and putting it into an old bowl and putting it in my grand's larder, which she didn't have sounds really old, but she didn't have a fridge, but it was just a coal larder, complete with a dripping with the jelly on the bottom. And that's where it all came from. That's where it all started. And it wasn't until I got to school. And back when I was doing cookery at school, it wasn't really the done thing to do. I think there was only two lads in the cookery lesson. That was it. The rest of it was 65 girls and two guys. But funny enough, the two guys that did it, me and this other guy, are still chefs now. And that was the same right throughout college. And I failed all my exams at school. I came out with no qualifications, nothing. I failed cookery. I got an O level in art. That was it. And that was grade C, but I failed everything. But it was my first day at college. I remember meeting a lecturer, a guy that I owe my career to. I genuinely do. And it was a college lecturer. He's still alive. He's a guy called Ken Allenson. And he was a lecturer at Scarborough Technical College. And it was a bit like the Karate Kid moment. It's a really weird thing. I look at it, and I remember my second day working there. He stood in the kitchen. He was a typical chef with a necktie on, big, massive, great eye guy with big hands and a proper chef's hat, big mustache, like a proper chef. If you draw a picture of a chef, big belly with his everything starched to beyond belief, immaculate, with his big box of knives and his massive padlock on it. And if you
Oh, James, you still there? We just lost you. Right, hang on, chefs. I think we're just going to get him back in a second.
Are you calling him? Okay. Hello?
Hello, sorry about that.
Hi, James. Sorry about that. I think
me or you?
Yeah, you're back now, though.
You got me? Yeah.
I got you there. Yeah, all good, James.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
I remember Ken Allenson sort of coming up to me on day 2 and sort of stood next to me. I was cutting brunoise. I was doing these brunoise and I was chopping it 4 times quicker than anybody else in the kitchen, because when I was a young kid, I got the opportunity to work in amazing places. I remember working in Hotel de Plaisance when I was 12 years old in Saint-Emilion, which is a 2-star Michelin. I was working at Eugene McCoy's, at the McCoy Brothers, Cleveland Tontime. So I wasn't a chef at all, but I was an enthusiast. And he sort of took me to one side and he said, "You're going to do level 3." I remember doing year 1 and year 2, but when I did year 2, I did 706.3 at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And did it all together. And on the end day at college on the Friday, we got our end of year results and that kind of stuff. It was a dinner, and he invited all the chefs from London to come up, and it was like Brian Turner, it was Alistair Little, there was some amazing David Doriacott, there was some amazing chefs. You've got the younger generation have got to Google these people, but those were the guys, and they all came up and offered me a job. And I remember leaving there on the Friday and starting to work in London on the Monday. I got on the train with 20 quid on the Sunday night and never looked back. And never have looked back. I've loved every single minute of it. The buzz that you get when you put your chef's jacket on, the buzz that you get when you win the brigade, and people can't believe that I'm actually cooking in the restaurant. It sounds really weird. You come to Chewton Glen, but I took over the restaurant about 8 months ago when we reopened. The owner said, "Look, we've given it a go, but you have a go." and we changed everything. We did it as a fish restaurant, and within 4 weeks we got #1 on TripAdvisor, and then we got the Michelin Guide within 2 months. So the chefs are buzzing, and then all of a sudden we had to shut down. But we're really focused to reopen and to push it forward and to make it even better than it was before. So can't wait for that one.
Nor can we. We're definitely going to be in queue to get a table booked to come down as a trip out.
Yeah, it should be good. There's some new things we go in. There's a massive hotel that's in build at the moment in Silverstone, right on the Pitt Strait that we're looking at now. So we've been involved in it for the last year and obviously couldn't do anything. But our first gig is going to be catering for the British Grand Prix. That should be between 4,000 and 40,000. We don't know how many people are, but that'll be. But there's lots of things in the pipeline. There's lots of things that are happening. But this industry's, like no other. It can morph, it can change, it can adapt, it can to an extent, but it can move and change and shape and so quickly. And that's what I love about it. And doing what we're doing, we've got such a variety of stuff that we're doing. I own the Saturday show. So we're doing that. There's a car show that we're looking at doing at the moment. So I've been asked by a couple of my mates who are racing drivers, do I want to do a car? So we're going to we might be doing that next week. So Brilliant. We'll give it a go.
That's one thing we always tell our students at the moment, that the industry is adaptable. You've got to be flexible and you work with it. So we've been saying that to students for years now. So it's good to hear you say that as well.
Look, it's all about inspiring people and everything else, and all I can tell you that hard work does pay off, and it depends. I mean, a lot of my mates collect all manner of different sort of stuff. You have to have a passion outside of work, though. It's not 100% work; it's a passion outside of work. And if you look at all the chefs, they've all got a passion outside of their job, whatever it may be. Mine's cars and motorbikes and that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff, but you have to have a passion away from that. But that's the way I am. So during this lockdown, in fact, when I finish speaking to you, I'm venturing next door and I'm taking the exhaust off one of the cars. But I don't know how to put it back on again. But we're taking the exhaust off one of the cars. But that's the way I see it, and that's what I don't know. That's what enthuses me really, because I as a kid I always dreamed about a car. It sounds daft, but when I worked hard enough to be able to get one, it means so much. You've got to have a goal. Have a goal. Have it be a restaurant, be it a head chef. Always have a goal in life and achieve that goal. And my most successful time is not when I was on TV, not when I was interviewing, not when I was with these famous chefs. My most successful time, I remember it, was when I became head chef for the very, very first Hotel de Van. When I was 21 years old. That was that, and then of course Robin Hudson and Gerard and myself, we opened up the Hotel de Van. Robin's got the pig and Limewood, and Gerard sadly passed away. But we were such a team then, and to develop something new, develop something interesting back then that still stood the test of time. You still got to have Robin's love outside of his job is fishing. It's a huge fishing, so fishing and red wine and that kind of stuff. I'm not really into red wine. I don't mind my old beer. Like I said, cars and stuff like that is my sort of thing. Hence this one behind me.
Wow.
Yeah, brilliant, fantastic. That's amazing, James.
You're around. This is the boys' room. I'll show you a quick show around. This is where we film we film the Saturday show. This is the chill out sort of, I don't know what you're allowed to call it boys' room now. Is that politically correct? It's the room. This is where everybody chills out. So next week we've got Gareth Ward here, we've got Brian Turner, we've got Sat Baines, we've got Claude Bossy, we've got all those sort of chefs. They come here socially distant, of course, but they come here and play pool and stuff like that. This is beyond. I mean, it depends whether you are a certain age, but that's Steve McQueen's old motorbike. I don't know. You've got to Google who Steve McQueen is, but that's
Oh God.
Steve McQueen's old motorbike. But yeah, there's a Sega Rally. See, everybody's got PlayStation 3 or 4 or 5 now. That's a proper thing. That's an old arcade thing. Playboy machine, which is very politically incorrect now. My old BMX, a few old bits and guitars and stuff like that. Another passion of mine, together with Sat Baines, is cigars. And then this is the other bit, all the gins. So I'm a big gin lover. So there's 200 different types of gins in here. But we've got a taste and bits and pieces. And then I don't know whether this works in here, but not many people get to see this. So, but anyway, I'll show you in here. This is just a few of the bits and pieces. You can see that. There's a few old bits of shrapnel. That's a Ferrari. That's a GT40. And then this depends on how old you are, but this is quite a rare thing. This is Colin McRae's original WRC Ford Focus rally car, and that's him when he won the. That's his car. But anyway, that's a few old bits of shrapnel. I've got to take the exhaust off that thing. But that's a lot of omelettes of those bloody things in there. But that's that's been a lot of hard work. That's my inspiration. That's my stuff. A lot of people like art or whatever it is, or most chefs that I know, marriages more than anything else, and kids. But that's my sort of thing. That's what I like.
It's amazing. That's really, really good. Right.
Not many people get to see that, by the way.
Well, thank you.
That's really good to see. That's really good to see. Well, thank you very much for your time, James. It's an absolute pleasure having you here with our students. It will keep them buzzing for the next week. They'll be doing some work. We've been blogging about you for the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
Right.
And I'm going to set some work for them next week, and they'll be hopefully watching your TV program.
All right, we'll get them to try and. I've got one of my trademark dishes is a white chocolate and whiskey croissant butter pudding. I would try and get them to try and improve that if they possibly can. Good luck with that one. It's been on my menu for 30 years. Yeah. It's the white chocolate and whiskey croissant butter pudding. It's one of my favorite desserts. But have a go at that. But to everybody listening to this as well, like I said, those people who are leaving and going out in the industry in the summer, and those people who have got a few more years to go, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Trust me. And we won't be doing this bloody carry on. And hopefully I'll be coming up in one of them things. I'll come up to Farnborough and speak to you in person, no doubt.
Yeah,
that'd be great to have you to show you around to see what our college is like.
Yeah, well, come on up. Come on up. It's not very far from me, is it? Really, you're just up the road, so it's not too bad. But yeah.
Yes.
Are you near the airport? Are you anywhere near? Is near the airport? Is that?
We're literally 2 minutes from the airport, because you've got a pilot's license, haven't you?
I have a pilot's license. I fly fixed wing and helicopters. Yeah, and I could land at Farnborough, but it's easier if I drive. To be honest with you, but yeah, I've been a pilot for 17 years, something like that. 17, 18 years. Again, that comes out of the fact that when I was a young kid, I never passed a single exam in my life, and I set myself a goal. When I built this place, I was so pissed off with speaking to builders about what colour skirting boards I wanted and what bloody light fittings I wanted. I was living in a motorhome in my driveway for 2 years. Genuinely, true story. 2 years I lived in the driveway in a motorhome, and I just decided I'd had enough and got the motorhome and drove down to Goodwood and parked up at Goodwood and knocked on the door and said, I want to learn how to fly. And it just so happened the guy who taught me the week before had just given up his job as a primary school teacher, and his passion was flying, and he wanted to be a commercial pilot. And his first job as a teacher, an instructor, was to teach me. So he taught me that sort of way of reading stuff that was kid-like, and that sounds daft, and which enabled me to pass my exams. And I've been flying ever since. Love it.
It's brilliant. Did I read that you're doing helicopter training as well?
I've got that. I've been 6 years now. I mean, I don't know how it all works with this COVID thing. So I haven't flown for over a year and a half. You have to do a certain amount of hours to hour build to get your license. So that's all probably gone now. I've got to restart it again. But you can't get in a plane. You can't fly because you can't fly with an instructor to get it signed off. Because it's 2 meter distancing. Otherwise, he's hanging off the left-hand wing. But yeah, it's kind of, I don't know how that's going to work. But I think I'm probably going to do a bit, like I said, with the cars next year, and maybe race a bit this year. I do Goodwood. I've certainly done Goodwood for the last 15 years, racing there in that green one that's in there. I'm hopefully taking that out there. It's just a release, really, I suppose, more than anything else. And flying is the same. I sometimes fly down to see Paul. About 3-4 years ago, I used to fly down and see Paul Ainsworth and fly into Newquay, have a meal, and then fly back. I used to fly to what's the place in Essex? I used to fly to Essex for an ice cream, sit on the seafront, have an ice cream, and fly back. I flew my chefs for Christmas about 3 years ago. They weren't very happy that I was flying them, mine, but I flew them up to Whitby, and we had fish and chips on Whitby seafront, and then flew them back. But it's good times, They work hard. Everybody works hard, and yeah, you've got to enjoy those moments while you can, I suppose, more than anything else.
Yeah, fantastic. That's brilliant. Well, thank you very much for that, James. It's gonna like I say, it's gonna keep the kids going for a little while now. That is with their passion, especially someone like your caliber as well. It's amazing.
Hey, well, yeah. At the end of the day, it's a job that I fell in love with and still fall in love with. But yeah, it's you still get the buzz now than you always have. Like I said, we're back filming on Monday, so can't wait. So look out for, like I said, we've got Claude Burstian on Tuesday, Brian Turner Wednesday. I think John Williams is coming Thursday. So we've got a decent lineup of chefs. They're not bad. We're scraping the barrel a bit, but they're not bad. They're not bad.
Well, I get our students watching as well, so that'd be great. Fantastic. Oh, if you could stay on the line quickly, James, for us. So the lecturers would just want to say thank you to you. All the other chefs say thank you to James, and you can all go. Thank you very much, James.
You can all go. Was that a clap?
Thank you.
They're all clapping you as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
So we'll just let them come off the line, James, quickly. They're just all disappearing. There's about 64 of them online.
That's good. It's nice to do stuff that's intimate like this, whereas normally stuff I do is bloody millions of people watching it.
Yeah, we're not that big.
No, but it's nice. It's nice.
James, do you get involved with Jody Schechter down at Basingstoke?
He's my best friend. Yeah.
Talking about fast cars and.
Carfest came about because Chris Evans is a mate of mine, Jody's a mate of mine, and we had dinner here about 15, 16 years having dinner, and 2 weeks later announced it on the radio, and Carfest was born. But it was here. But yeah, it's they're good mates. Yeah, it's only probably, well, I can walk to Jody's house from here.
Yeah. And the barbecue championship. I've been up there a couple of times.
Yeah,
the barbecue championship.
He doesn't do it well, really. He doesn't do it anymore, but he keeps it all in house. But he's it's been difficult for them all. I mean, anybody in the farming business as well, bloody nightmare. But I've always supported their products. I think he's certainly his mozzarella and his
ice cream's nice.
Passion for it is amazing. Well, his ice cream is. It was actually Pierre Kaufman and I that developed his black pudding as well, but that's really good. And Raymond Blanc's been helping him as well on bits and pieces. And we go up there and have blind tastings. There's me, Raymond, Pierre Kaufman, and it's about 5 or 6 of us. And he puts all this ice cream out in front of us. Which one do we like? And we all pick the same one, and Jody doesn't listen to any of us and does what he wants.
I've got my boss online. Gwen Grace here as well. She's a massive fan of you. It's just so we've got a funny story. Just a few years ago, a couple of our colleagues played a practical joke on her and said you were visiting the college.
Right.
And she got so excited, and when she came into work, it was them wearing face masks of you. But she's a massive fan of you, and she's online now as well, which is great. So, Miss Grace.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you, James. They were so cruel to me. I didn't believe that they actually had you online today. I was looking out for you. I was looking in the car park for your car because I know you like your fancy cars. And they said, "Oh no, he's come on his motorbike." So I was like, "Oh, even better." And yeah, they said that they'd put you in a secret room, and they all came out in their masks. So you can imagine my disappointment to see them and not you.
Well, anyway, when we get through all this and stuff gets back to normal, we'll come up and we'll do a. Have you got a restaurant there and stuff?
We do, yeah, absolutely.
We'll do an evening in the restaurant for you and stuff. But when we get through all this, because it's a bloody nightmare at the moment. But
it is. Yeah.
The problem is with us is when we reopen, it goes at 100 mile an hour. I didn't want to say it a lot, but we had our record year ever last year at Chewton Glen, and we were shut for 7 months. So it shows you what's going to happen when the industry turns on. It'll go mental, and that's what I'm hoping for. But certainly, yeah. Let's keep in touch. You've got Pippa's details now and stuff like that. Keep in touch, and let's you know, my chef Adam that I spoke to you about. He's based in High Wycombe, so he comes past you every day to come and work for me. So I'm sure we can think of something and do something.
That'd be brilliant. That'd be fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Have a good rest of the time for next week, filming like you said you were going to do. If you got a chance when you're on air, if you don't know if you want to mention Farmer College students watching or something, if you can or if you're allowed, because they'll be watching.
Hey, mate, it's my show. I can do what I want.
And I get them practicing and cooking that white whiskey pudding as well, and send you some pictures.
Yeah. All right.
That's fantastic. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers, chef.
Bye.
How was that?
Right.
Do you want to stop recording?
Yes.